What's up YouTube? How are you guys doing? My name is Aziz and I am an AI automation engineer and instructor, and I would like to welcome you to the last part of our little mini series in regards to building high quality lead lists. Now, we have gone through all the phases right here of our infrastructure within n8n, within our automation tool, and the last part will be to finalize the personalization part, which was the goal right from the get-go. Now, if you remember, we started out with scraping data from Apollo, right, using our API scraper. And if I jump back into this, then you can see we also added an ICP matching test in regards to making sure that the leads that we have gotten out of that list match our ICP. Then we verified the emails to be sure that they don't bounce, right, and that we will not risk or harm our email accounts as well. Then we enrich the data with what LinkedIn gives us, right? So we are looking for the LinkedIn profile URL of a specific lead, and then we are using that to get information from them, further information. And this was just the beginning, right? We can expand this to other platforms or whatever and wherever we can get data from specific leads. And then we just added this status field right here to be sure that the leads will not be duplicated. In that regard, we don't scrape further information twice from the same person. And now we want to take care of an icebreaker, which is a personalized message we can use within an email outreach campaign, right? And within a cold email outreach campaign, or in something like a LinkedIn DM campaign. That's also definitely a way how we can use this, or wherever you would like to proceed with this. Now, how do we do this? I am going to jump into the last workflow. And if you remember, we have this infrastructure. So this is the very last part right now, the personalization part. So how does this look like? So as you can see, we have again a very simple flow, and I would highly advise you to build flows as simple as possible. And if you see that they are kind of growing organically, that you separate them and modularize your whole infrastructure so it's easier for you to understand what's happening and to basically make it easily maintainable. So the first thing that we want to do is to get the data again. Obviously, I'm using my Google Sheets account connection. The resource will be a document. The operation will be to get rows. The document I'm using will be our demo lead list again, and the sheets is the lead list. Everything else can stay as is. And then within the filter, the only thing that I'm using or looking for will be to make sure that the email status is not undeliverable, and then also that I don't have an icebreaker already. So I want to get icebreakers, or leads rather, which are empty in this column, right? After this, I'm going to use a limit node again, just for this demo. So that I'm going to limit this to 5 leads that are going to be passed on to the next node. And the next node is actually where the magic is kind of happening. And this is an OpenAI message, a model node. And if you look for OpenAI, then you can see that we have a couple of them. The one that I'm using is the very first one, OpenAI. And when I look for a message, then I have message a model right here. This is the node that I'm using in this case. And when I open up this, then you can see that it is connected to my OpenAI account. The resource is a text. The operation that I want to conduct is a message a model. And then the model that I'm using is GPT-4o mini. You can obviously decide on your own. I would advise you, however, to use a mini model, which are quite efficient and enough basically for this specific approach. And then I have a couple of messages that I'm passing on to the whole system. Now, there's an interesting part in regards to the whole building of this one, because as you can see, I'm starting out with a simple system prompt, right? And this is just your helpful, intelligent writing assistant. The next one is a user prompt. So if you don't know, there are different kinds of roles that you can use in specifically OpenAI, but also basically with any other LLM. And these are basically separated into 3 parts. A system prompt, which is kind of like the definition of a character profile, you know, the overall thinking and task that you are passing on or giving to this specific LLM or AI agent in that regard. And the other one is the user, which are we, right? This is us. So if we are communicating with ChatGPT, for instance, in this case, then we are the user, and the assistant is ChatGPT, right? This is the assistant that we are using, and which role we can also use, right? So this will give us the opportunity or the possibility to train the model, kind of like, right? It's not technically training the AI model, but it's something called zero-shot prompting. And zero-shot prompting is if you do not use any kind of examples, but in this case, we are using examples, because what we want to do, first of all, is that we are giving it this very first user prompt, which is write a personalized icebreaker to be used in a cold email, use the provided data from LinkedIn as context, be succinct, casual, and use a very Spartan tone of voice, no frills, respond in JSON only, do not introduce the JSON code with something like backticks, and so on and so forth. So we are instructing it how to create those icebreakers, and the role of this, as I've said, is the user. Now, the next part is another example that we are passing on, and this is already a template which we will later use. We will basically use live if we are expecting to actually get an answer out of our assistant, out of the LLM, ChatGPT in this case, right? And this will give us a pretty good training, or this will give the LLM a pretty good example of how we would expect it to answer to our request, right? And this would still be us, right? So we are passing on the full name, company name, title, summary, and so on. This is also a JSON, and I'm going to show you this in a second. And now in the next message, and by the way, these are all separate messages, right? So you can imagine this like a conversation between yourself and ChatGPT. So we are going back and forth and basically mimicking or simulating a conversation between us and ChatGPT. And now we are using the assistant role. So this is how we would expect ChatGPT or whatever LLM we're using to answer to our request, right? And it's in this format. So we're using a JSON again. The key is called icebreaker, and then we can even give it an example of the answer we would have expected from this request, right? So based on this information, we would have expected an answer like this one. And then I'm switching again. I'm giving it another example. Again, the user role is what I'm using, and then again, I'm using the assistant as the answer or the response to this request. So I'm giving it basically two examples. Then after that, the last step is where we are actually passing on the variables from the previous node. So when I open up this, then you can see that I'm using the same structure as within those examples. I'm giving it the full name, the company name, and so on and so forth. And now I'm actually using the variables I got from the previous nodes, and where I'm passing on this request to the agent. And then what we will get out of this will be the output that we will continue using, right? I am activating the simplify output and especially the output content as JSON, so that we will be able to access each and every one of those variables afterwards, so that we can put them into the right place and wherever we would like to have them, right? So the last note, I'm going to show you this as well, and is going to be just as the one before. Connect to my Google Sheets. I want to update a row. I'm using the same file and sheet again. I want to map each column manually. The column to match on will be the row number, and this is also the one that I'm getting out of the previous nodes, the variable. And then I'm going to put in the actual icebreaker within the column icebreaker, and this is what we see here, right? So I'm going to put the output of ChatGPT into this very column. All right, now before we are going to jump into the demo, I would like to first of all ask you kindly to subscribe to this channel if this was of any help to you until now, and like and share this video. In addition to that, I am building Skriptt AI School, and this is where you will learn everything in regards to AI and automation, n8n, LLMs, and you will be able to build flows like these easily. And this will start with a very basic introduction into n8n, and if you have never used an automation tool before, then this is a fantastic start for you, and you will get into a very advanced stage where this will enable you to save a lot of time or make a lot of money because of the flows this will enable you to build, right? So we will get into the basics of n8n, and you will, by the way, get all the assets that I'm presenting you right here, and obviously also we will build AI agents. We will get into scraping itself, how you can almost get any kind of data that you want. This is going to be a paid community sooner or later, but if you join today at the time of this recording, this will be free for you. So join today, because it will stay free for you forever, and don't miss out on this. All right, so we want to jump back into our flow and generate the icebreaker we just talked about, and this is still the icebreaker right here, so it's still empty, and I'm going to run the whole flow, and let's see what we get out of here. All right, and we are done with the whole flow. So we got 410 items out of the whole list, and we filtered this. We only kept the first 5 because, as I've mentioned, we just want the first 5 to be passed on for testing. And let's take a look into the executions. This took 10 seconds, and we are basically good to go. And now if we look into our Google Sheet again, then you can see that this icebreaker has been generated. And this is a very short, very simple sentence, which, however, refers to the personal info of that specific lead, right? So let's take a look into this one. This says your experience in project management with major commercial buildings and airport is impressive. So let's see if there is any information. Planning manager commercial buildings and airport, right? So it's basically referring to what we got out of this LinkedIn about page, right? So this is very specific, very personalized. So if you read something like this and you get this email from somebody you don't know, then you can at least expect that this person has taken a look into your profile and has basically investigated a little into your specific information. Next one as well. our focus on purpose in work really resonates, and this is the LinkedIn about page of that specific person, and the first sentence already is find your purpose, right? So it's referring back to this LinkedIn information. But as you have seen within the last message that we have passed on, it doesn't have to refer only to the about page, because we are passing on a lot more information, like obviously the company name, the title, the headline, the company location can be definitely interesting, then the industry, and obviously you can add in a lot more information, so that in case we don't have a LinkedIn about page, we still will be able to create a personalized message, right? All right, now this is already it. We have taken a deep dive basically into building a high quality lead list, and if you want to learn more about this, then please join the community. This is already a pretty advanced system. However, each and every one of those flows, as you can see, are pretty simple and partly even self-explanatory. I thank you a lot for your attention, and I hope to see you in the next video, and we will continue building flows in n8n and building AI automations, and I'm very happy to welcome you in the next video. Thanks a lot for your attention, and see you on the next one. Bye.